impression. Yeah, it seems like you found the button.
I don't see me. Do you see me?
No, your camera's off.
Alright.
And of course my camera's off because my camera's not plugged in.
Oh no.
Yeah, you always have to pick between the camera and the game controller. It's either one or the other, and I was playing Dragon Quest earlier, so I picked wisely.
Alright, so...
I'm probably going to hear myself talk.
I'm not sure where I am. I'm in multiple places.
At least there's not a huge delay.
Yeah.
Like I just checked. There's actually not that bad of a delay. Ooh, I can put 720. Yay.
Okay.
Let me turn on my screen share for a moment and see if it'll... I just want to see how that looks on the YouTube channel.
Pretty.
Yep, that's my background. Right. That's my second screen. Since I don't want us to have that vertigo thing. Oh, hey, look, it shows up just fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Stop sharing. I'm sharing that. The chat is on the side. It looks to be... Let me... I can't type today. Oh, chat works. But hey, at least now you have a chat that you can look down at and we can actually get questions and shit from people.
Yep.
And it's also not buffering, so the issue with the buffering was clearly with the settings in OBS just not being set properly for your bandwidth.
Yeah, because it's like it was green, then it was red, then it was beige. I don't know.
Yeah, that basically means, did you mess with any settings, or did you just open the program and leave them default?
I thought I just opened it, but...
Yeah, then that means you were using default settings, which probably was either too much for your bandwidth or not giving it enough, which is why it kept giving you errors. Yeah. Google Hangouts just says, here's your connection, we're going to do all that shit for you.
All right, so...
Yeah, it confused me when I was reading what you were typing. I'm just like, why? Because it didn't look like a Hangout when I was watching it originally. I'm like, what are you streaming with?
Yeah. Okay, I want to message guests. Okay.
I'm going to pause the video so it's not eating up connection for me.
All right, here we go, everybody. Sending link.
Well, Greg joined.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
How you doing, man?
Yeah. What's this?
Oh, I can't see you, Peter.
I can't see me either.
You know,
I have the problem.
Do you still have OBS on?
I was just about to say the same thing.
Yeah, turn OBS off.
Oh, okay, so I don't even need that. Oh,
no,
that's
OBS
just for live.
Yeah, OBS is for just straight up live streaming. So if you wanted to do something cool, like basically what you were doing when you had the like Wolverine picture in the back with your camera, and you had like multiple things going on, that's what that's for. It's so you can have cool tricks and shit that you can do.
Although, Eric, I was going to ask you, it sounds like you have experience with this. When I first started the few live hangouts that were live on YouTube, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've done a few. It required that I had a streaming server piece of software and that it be on. In other words, I couldn't simply have a hangout and then have that go.
Yeah, it gives you options. At least when I clicked up, it did. Where it says type, it says one says quick, and then the other one's customized. The quick one is literally what he's using, which is it automatically opens Google Hangout for you.
Okay, so in other words, even so, at that point when I was, I did not have to actually have OBE on at that point.
No, OBS is only if you wanted. Let's say you're doing a video game stream or stuff like that, where it's like you don't need Google Hangout. You're not having a bunch of people on your Hangout. You're just doing you. Then you can just use OBS.
So that's I would say like a fault in what do you call it? YouTube or Google's explanation, because it seemed from their tutorial that one has to have the server in either event,
no.
And that it be on, right?
Well, that's why they give you the quick option. But I guess actually the one that I linked to, like the little tutorial thing, that was the one.
Where did you link to that?
In the Synergy chat. It's up a little bit higher. It says Hangouts on air with YouTube Live, and it gives you the thing. It says go to live streaming events, new event, select quick, which uses Google Hangout, blah, blah, blah,
yeah. Blah. Okay. So really then the secondary piece of software is really only necessary if you're attempting to do more complex stuff.
Yeah, so like let's say you were doing a gaming stream where you wanted your camera up in the top corner or something, but you also wanted like a fancy border around the game for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You would use OBS because that's how that works. Google Hangout just can't do that. In fact, it can't. I don't even think it properly streams games because I tried gaming once for you guys, and it was so laggy.
That's correct. Yeah. Although I know I have a need to do gaming, but I understand that that's the case.
Even for me in drawing, like if I'm just doing me, I'll just do OBS because I get the higher quality.
Of course, yeah.
Google Hangouts is going to force adjust your settings to whatever your connection happens to be, which it usually unfortunately it overestimates it and goes, you need crappy quality.
Yeah, and this other thing. I know that yesterday you were having this problem, Peter, because you were talking about what you're experiencing out loud. And I've seen the same error, which is to say, in the dialog box on the what do they call it, the on-air board or the whatever it's called, it says often your frame rate's wrong, your FPS is wrong, your bit rate is wrong, and I've even used like the out of the box default settings in OBS, and it still will say, "Oh, it's wrong." And then I've seen like the results; it's quite garbagey. So
yeah, OBS is one of those programs you actually do need to fiddle with the settings personally for your connection and computer.
And the thing is, it's funny, and I don't know if Peter's had the same issue. I actually did systematically every single thing it said for me to do, except to say that it wouldn't allow certain resolutions. Like, in other words, there's no option that I had in the settings to do like 720 by whatever it was.
1080.
Yeah, like it wouldn't allow that. It had some that were above and below that, but it did not have that exact option. Right. So the thing is, like, then I was just, going for whatever settings were close. And even then, doing something that was very close to what it asked for in terms of frames per second, bit rate, and size, it would still say there was a problem. So I'm not sure that OBS really works properly.
Well, I've used OBS for probably over a year now to stream both on YouTube and on Picardo, which is an art streaming site. And I mean, it took me a little fiddling because I actually had to look up what my speeds were and then calculate what kind of bit rate I needed to use and stuff like that, which
wow.
Plus my computer can handle a lot more. So I don't know. There's a combo of your computer, like what your CPU can handle, what your graphics can handle, and then also what your internet connection can handle. So you got to find that happy balance between all of them, and then it'll be pretty clean.
So there's a lot of granular under the hood stuff you got to learn and do before you get a perfect situation.
Yeah, which is why when they say the quick method is just use Hangout, it's because Hangout's just going to read whatever it's receiving and post it that way. It just goes, this is what you can do.
Right. It's just that, like, if you're, for instance, if you're using a laptop camera, which is what I have, right? You know, the video limitations are pretty limited.
Oh, yeah.
You know, even if it's a decent camera, it still seems to not want to use the full resolution of my camera.
Exactly, and that's just because of what your connection will allow you to broadcast in.
Yeah, which is weird because I've got I could check it again, but I'm pretty sure I have like a, like 22 or 24 meg, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
I have a decent out of the box, what do you call it? High speed connection, you know?
Oh yeah, so do I. I'm sure if I turned my camera on, it would probably wouldn't look that great because now it's also compensating for the fact that there's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us in this thing, so it's constantly adjusting to make sure that things run as smoothly as possible. If that means it's got to limit your output, so be it. That's as far as Google's concerned, and which is good because that's what you would do personally anyway.
Right. One of the shows, or one of the weekly ones that I do is sort of a status update thing with the other people involved in the book that I'm working on, right? And I wanted the YouTube option because I actually thought it would be great to have these videos as part of the social marketing of the book, right? Because people could actually be like, oh, wow, this is what goes into people talking about what they're doing, right? One of the people is in the UK. It's Pippa. She's helping out with marketing for us. The other person's on the West Coast, and then it's me on the East Coast. And I've noticed that my video in those cases is usually pretty good. Hers is understandably not so good. My friend on the West Coast, I would say in between the two, right? So that's the other thing I find interesting is that call to call or hangout by hangout, the quality is radically up and down, you know?
Oh, yeah. Based on distance, based on who's hosting, so obviously it's going to change things depending on who's the host. But yeah, someone, you know, Pippa over in England, you know, her thing is going to be a lot different trying to get its signal all the way to us over here. It's going to lose some of its quality.
Right.
It's a larger gap to send the signal.
It's a larger gap, right. Yeah, I'm just doing a speed test right now, and my download is, like 24 megs.
Yeah,
about 24 megs. And I don't know what my upload is. That's the more important one, of course, but it's usually about the same.
That's roughly what I get.
Although not right now.
Yeah, I can see your camera quality just kind of went to crap.
Oh, now I'm a lot better. Now it's like barely 20 point, about 21 megs upload, 23 and a half megs download, which is not bad considering everything, but I guess that's part of it too, right?
It's internet for you.
How's my picture look?
A little grainy, a little granular.
Grainy?
Like digital choppy, you know? Yeah, like low res for digital.
It looks perfect to me.
So that's another element that's interesting because, like, for instance, in my little preview box, my video looks really pretty like a fully normal video stream.
That's because you're getting your preview. You're not getting what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Right. Now that's what I find really, that's like stupid because what it should be previewing is what that you see, right? Like we should all see in the preview box is what the outside world sees because then otherwise we have no option to adjust, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm sure they have their reasons.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I just meant like it's unfortunate that they're not even giving us the opportunity to
Preview what it looks like to someone else.
right, because maybe we could readjust or something like that.
Because yeah, John and Paul's are perfectly clear, but they're also screen capping, which takes a little less, connection to send a screen cap than it does a full camera.
I see.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
I guess
John.
Heyo.
There you go.
Hey, Wait, let's introduce people that are actually here.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, we're like techno mumbo jumbo, false start, bad start. Awesome piece you're working on.
Thank you. I just piece of fan art that I'm doodling on. I shouldn't say
Cool.
doodling. This got like out of hand real quick, but it's not for anything really.
And we got Paul in the chat. Hey, Paul.
Hey, how's it going? How do I sound?
There he is. Yeah.
Do I sound okay?
You sound like a boss. Is
Yeah.
what you sound like.
Well, I got that good mic. I'm hooked up to the beast here. It's just running Linux Ubuntu, so I don't have a camera on this thing. My MacBook, which I use for work, I'm holding out for the announcement. It's not quite dead yet, so I'm thinking I might hold out for the new one because it's got a good Intel chip that we've been waiting on for a couple of years. But I've got a serious browser issue with that one. I don't know if it's like a Mac virus or something, but yeah, Google Hangouts just doesn't like it.
No, we're not seeing it. Oh, now there's video for you.
Yeah, I should have a screen.
Well, that's
Yeah,
weird.
should be
Oh, there we
seeing
go.
One
Now,
of the pieces I'm working.
for a while, it was just black.
Yeah, you can also just click on them.
Right.
Yeah.
I just meant at one point.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, now it's black again. I think he's just
Yeah.
having some little bit of
There's
lag.
it's almost like when you talk, it goes to a black screen and then the artwork fades up, but it's almost like we can't seem to have both.
Alright.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of lag.
Yeah. So hey, Peter, thanks for inviting me.
My pleasure. Sorry.
That's not sarcastic, by the way.
No.
It's totally sarcasm. He's totally angry that you invited him into this.
That's right.
We all are.
So it's pretty much the same as before. It's just not via G+. And yeah, I was trying to do it some spacey way that obviously is not the way you do it. So thank you, Eric.
You're welcome. I just had to load it up myself to see like where the thing was. Like I was like, what is he looking? I was like, okay, let me just make one myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking at myself apparently.
Just look at yourself.
Yes. So we got a couple of viewers apparently. We had a lot more before, but yeah, let's see. I got some messages. I just got home, and we got Jay and Matthias maybe joining us.
Excellent.
We'll see. Yeah, so let's just go around the table, shall we? I see Eric on my left. So what are you up to, Eric?
Not a whole lot, really. Been kind of getting my head back into a somewhat decent space. I do have one thing that I'll be working on soon because I got another tablet to review. Because they just love sending me free shit.
Oh wow, you're in that like rarefied air that gets like stuff and you get to review it. And all that stuff.
Well, this one was a bit of a pain in the ass because Amazon changed their policy on reviews. Now, if you're given a discount code to purchase something on Amazon, you can no longer write a review, like if it was a huge discount, or in my case, 99% off.
Wow.
They also made it so unless you cannot review an item that you have not purchased. So they wouldn't even be able to send me it offhand and then me review it. So we had to go through this roundabout way of me buying the item on Amazon and then getting it here so I could still do the review.
So do they refund you or something later?
They just
or
gave me the money.
That would also. Oh, okay. But now you just exposed yourself, right? So
they just gave me the money. I'm like, thank you.
Now the Amazon police are going to be like, "Oh, gave you the money, eh? All right, we'll take."
Hey, there was nothing in their policy about that. So
no, until
they were very specific of gifted item or discounted item. I didn't do either. They just gave me the money.
Right, until 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, and then there'll be new rules.
We'll have to change the rules to include that. I'm like, too late. I got it before then, so I can at least do this item.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's a 15-inch tablet. It's like a new product from theirs. They literally just put it up on their store. So I'm going to be messing around with it and seeing how to... The screen protector kind of confused me, of all the things. Like, they give you those screen protectors that usually peel, and then you have to, stick them on. And instead of being the normal one where you peel the back off and you stick the whole thing down, and then you peel the front part off to give you the surface, I peeled off the back, and I'm like, the back's not sticky. What's going on here? And I was like, what about the front? I kind of pulled the front off, and I was like, that's not sticky either. And then there was this black lining on the top edge. I'm like, what's that? And I pulled it off, and that's where the adhesive is. You just adhesive one edge onto the tablet, and then it just flaps down over the screen. I'm like, well, at least it's easier to put on than the normal ones.
So for those of us who are actually either old enough or just old enough to have known about it, it's like the Winky Dink method of Winky Dink was the show in the 50s for kids, and it was this guy who it was like cartoons, variety and stuff. It's very Soupy Sales kind of aped his routine later, but like
you know what bothers me about this is that your example to compare it to so that we understand what it is, I also don't know what that is.
Right. So the deal is like, here's the deal, like you watch this show, you're a kid, right? It's like cartoons and different stuff. And then they would say, okay, kids, time to put your Winky Dink plastic magic thingy on the screen. And you'd take this piece of acetate and you'd stick it on the television, and then you could use like these special crayons that worked on treated acetate.
Yeah,
and
that's basically what they did.
Yeah, and of course what happened was the classic, the reason why the show bombed after a while was because, or at least they dropped the product, was because like the kids would like eventually stop using the sheet, and they just draw with these like weird funky crayons directly on their parents' television sets, and you couldn't like get it off with a chisel or something, I guess. So it like screwed up people's televisions, and like all these people went insane. Yeah. And there went Winky Dink, but
that is effectively what it is.
It's coming back. Winky Dink's back. They should just license the name.
I am perfectly okay with this, because the last time I tried to get a freaking screen protector on this 20-inch tablet they sent me, I went through 2 or 3 of the damn things, because no matter how hard I tried, I could not get it to go down flat without any bubbles. And it's like, once you start messing with it too much, you might as well just throw it out, because it's never going to stick down properly.
Yeah,
so right. This one, all I did was peel off to reveal the adhesive. It's just a thin strip of adhesive on the top. You put it down, you line it up, and boom, it sticks.
Well, static-based or other low-tech adhesive-based films for translucent medium, like for monitors and stuff, is really just like, it's still kind of a bomb of a product. It doesn't really work. Not really.
All it really is supposed to do is to protect the screen from the tip of the pen, so it's like not digging directly into the glass.
Is it pretty abrasive?
Not really. It's mostly smooth, but obviously if you're pressing down over and over and over and over and over and over, drawing lines and lines, it's going to wear into it. So at least this gives you a layer of protection to extend the life of your screen.
For those that have such a thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll be doing a review of that pretty soon. Probably in the next 3-4 days, depending on how long it takes me to set it up. It shouldn't be too hard since it's the same product, the same company as the tablet I have right now. That's my main tablet. So I shouldn't have any issues with uninstalling and reinstalling new drivers because it's the same company.
So are you one of the people who may have likely seen do a review of various or alternative screen tablets then?
Probably. I mean, the screen tablets that I've mainly been using are these Oogie tablets.
I think I've seen your videos then. I'm pretty sure.
I had the 19-inch one. I'm currently using the 21-inch one, and then I now have the 15-inch one.
Awesome. Well, if you need to slide them over to anybody, I'm sure one of us would be happy to, take the trouble off your hands.
I sold the 19-inch one. I'm keeping the 21-inch one because this is my main now, and it's also a monitor for me. I'm keeping the 15-inch one because I also have the Wacom Cintiq 13 HD that I'm going to now sell because I can easily sell that thing for like $500.
Sure, yeah.
Because it retails for like $800, so it's still in pristine condition. So, hell yeah, money. Then I can actually buy cheaper products that I can also review because I really need to stop trying to get these like $400 or $500 products to review. Although I do other products too because I have light boxes that I've done. I have 2 of those, and then I've done like the regular tablets that you just set on the desk and you have to look at the screen without looking at your hands thing.
Yeah.
I've done at least, 4 of those? I don't remember how many I've done of those.
Yeah, I've got a couple of tablets. I got a really nice, that sort of long rectangle Intuos 4, or 3 or 4. Yeah, 4, I think, from a few years ago.
That's the one company I wish I could get in with to send me free shit. It's Wacom.
Yeah, and then somebody gave me well, they don't call it a bamboo anymore, but the equivalent.
Yeah,
for my birthday.
What is different? Like, because I
It's
know there's the
called the
manga
Draw.
one. I know there's a manga which gives you
the-
Manga Studio.
Right, it's just like the one's called the art, the other one's called the draw, I think, and the other one's called the, I don't know, I don't even know, but I think it all has to do with that because it certainly isn't like they have different pressure sensitivities, and none of them have pen tilt, so it's not like, they're not
all that amazing.
Well, I mean, I think it's definitely amazing for someone who's not exposed to that kind of product, and I haven't. I've been doing all the color work that I do, including digital painty stuff with a mouse since the 1990s, and I'm only just starting to teach myself to use a tablet, and it's not going great. So honestly, like when I have to actually get anything done, I'm going right back over to my mouse.
It gets easier with time. Like the first time I had to use a tablet, because the first one I had was the original Bamboo, like the really small one. So I had to use that for a long time, and then I got a slightly bigger tablet when I started learning about these off-brands. So I was just like, ooh, I can get a 10-inch, desk tablet for like $70 compared to Wacom, which is like, what is that? What is their like 10-inch model going for these days?
I don't know. It's hundreds, but it's not exceptional. It's not like a lot. It's not like prohibitive money for the right kind of person or for a student, which is good. I mean, right? That's a good thing. That's not.
I've always been the budget guy because I've never had that much money. So
me neither.
But it's helped me get a lot of cool products that I think are equal in quality. There's just a few technical things that I still yell at Oogie for doing that I'm just like, why are you not doing? And it's the stupidest thing, but it's. Why do their display tablets not have buttons on the sides?
Oh, yeah.
Like, why do I not have shortcut keys on this? There's space. Like, it doesn't take up that much space to put a couple buttons, and yet they refuse to put the buttons.
Hey, Peter, I'm sorry I derailed your everybody saying hello thing. I'm sorry about that.
Yes, Greg, it's all your fault.
We went on a tangent, sorry.
Well, it's... Mama always taught me to apologize first, right? That's the good. That's
So we're up to you. So
me.
Hey, Greg. Yes.
Hey, Peter. How's it going, man? It's really awesome to be on Studio Synergy.
Well, I just happen to be around the corner.
By the way, not sponsored by Canada Dry Cranberry Ginger Ale and Little Debbie Cherry Pie. Little Debbie, the big pie, the little pie with the big taste.
Okay, now we are a 1950 TV show.
Yeah, really.
Wait till I do my. Wait till I introduce Baraxo.
Subtle product placement.
So like I like another person who was just talking who said like they had been a little bit off from their routine for a while. I've been off from my routine for quite a while on my on the graphic novel I've been working on called Holiday Mountain Madness with author Bill Woodcock. And part of it was it's health problems. I have chronic health issues and other things. So there's life stuff too, right? But I'm just back, which is the positive thing, and we've got this really interesting energetic injection from Pippa Bailey of the Ghoul Guides, which is awesome because she's such a fan of what we've done and graciously volunteered to really essentially just be a social media marketing person and kind of like a kind of almost a bit coachy and checking in with me to make sure I'm kind of like doing stuff and checking in about how we're doing. So that's actually made it so much more vital sort of a process because like it's like I don't feel quite so alone in a hole, even though I'm with this great writer creator guy that's my friend, but like you're sort of, it's like, okay, so that's the two of you and you've got your cool project that nobody knows about, sort of, but it's like now there's this third entity with their own energy and their own kind of like take on things, essentially like a super fan relationship, and that's been extremely encouraging. So I'm like I've got the script for chapter 2, and I've been laying out pages on that, and so that's going on. This is the start of a few. I can't do screen grab because I don't have another camera, so I have to do this lo-fi thing. But I've been working on some page stuff, and what else am I doing? I have a project that's I'm from Vermont, and a group called the Vermont Folklife Center has been doing for a few years now a very, very interesting comic book project where they've gotten some funding to interview migrant workers in the state of Vermont that work on farms and mostly dairy from Mexico and other, I think, other Latin American countries, and record their stories, translate them, and then comic artists like myself are drawing and making these short 8 to 12 page mini comics of them, and they're going to be collected apparently too in the next year, calendar year. So that's another thing I'm working on tonight and tomorrow, is laying out this script, which is this particular individual's story of having to leave Tabasco, Mexico, and why he's here, and various struggles that he's had. So that's a really important thing to be in on, rather than just simply, genre or escapist fiction, somebody's real life, which is, it's really important. So that's a really cool thing. And I've been catching up furiously with Inktober. So that's the other thing I'm doing, is trying to get caught up with with that. So I can actually post without shame on Inktober. So
cool.
That's my lots of ink, lots of paper.
Yes.
So yeah.
And we have John with us.
Hello.
Heyo. It's been a little while since we've seen you. I haven't been doing these regularly, so but we haven't gotten a chance to really hang lately.
No, and I haven't really. I've been very, very busy. and not on art stuff. So
Yeah.
there hasn't really been a good opportunity for me to join up on one of these anyway. So, but I'm here.
Well, I hope you're feeling better about art and working on art lately.
You know.
Okay.
I'm still in the I'm still getting used to life without a comic, so it's been a mixed bag. On the one hand, I'm not doing anything. On the other hand, I have time for the first time in years to actually just work on stuff that I find interesting. So,
Right.
I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying having time again for the first time in like 6 years.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So yeah, mostly it's like I haven't even had time to focus on art stuff really, just because the world has been busy. So the real life stuff.
There's always plenty of that.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, sir.
Thank you.
And we have with us tonight, we have Paul.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Yeah. I'm probably going to be having to skip in and out here. I'm currently working on a number of fantasy commissions for one client. He's got a little sort of a D&D troupe. I hope I'm not patronizing any D&D fans out there by calling it, little. But
they're just very
yeah,
short.
I'm just sort of. It's
I
yeah.
am
So
very offended.
but yeah, he wanted me to work on some posters for his original character designs, which was he paid the hourly rate, which was very nice. You usually get people trying to beat you down, but he just sort of went, what do you charge normally? I told him. He goes, oh, yeah, I'll pay that. I like your stuff. So yeah, he's getting this is like group of 8 characters, and so I've got 8 separate posters. Here's can you see the examples?
Yeah.
And so each of the characters is getting a specific pose and a setting and all that sort of stuff. And some backgrounds have been done in 3D that I generally like to build assets and repurpose them just to get backgrounds out very quickly. But they're all modeled by me, so it's still a bit of time taken, but it's also a big time saver when it comes to the end of it. So I just got a sick little girl with me at the moment, my daughter. In terms of comic work, this story that you see up on screen, Dear Yang, got recently published in an anthology by Forward Comics called The Guan Anthology. And hang on, I'm really, really, really bad with names, so just bear with me a second. Gregory?
Yes.
Is it who was talking about their comic work in Canada?
Oh, I'm not Canada. Vermont. Vermont is a state in the United States, but we border on the Canadian border. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm zoned out there for a second.
That's look. I would actually love if the state of Vermont could be part of Canada, and I'm not alone, so don't worry about it. It's totally cool.
Yeah.
Well, the rest of America thinks you already are. So
I know. Well, when I first moved to Canada, I just did it. When I first moved to Vermont in 1978. And I like went back on the summers to hang out with my friends. So this is like 6th grade, age. But even adults would say, like, what part of New York State is that? Or what part of upstate New York is that? Or what part of Canada is that? And I was like, and for a second there, I was almost like, yeah, maybe it is in Canada. I don't know. I guess maybe And then as an adult, I'm like, oh God, I really wish we had moved to Canada. Fuck. Like. Damn it.
Yeah. I was also working on something that was sort of immigrant related. I took my wife's family's refugee story and turned it into an 8-page sci-fi comic.
Oh, wow.
For this thing. So instead of fleeing Vietnam in the early 80s, the family's fleeing a kind of a privately held, mined out asteroid.
Wow.
But the story was basically took the beats of the actual story. You know, my mother-in-law had a young kid, was pregnant. They basically had to leave in the middle of the storm so that authorities wouldn't dare chase them, avoid pirates, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it was a fun little project to work on. But in terms of comic work at the moment, everything's kind of on hold while I finish off these fairly big commissions. I got a little bit of day job work at the moment too. Even though I wasn't courting it, I was trying to do the stay-at-home dad thing for this year. You know, not going to conventions or anything like that. And yet, you know, work somehow found me. And you know, when they say, "Oh, you can work from home, you can do your thing," I'm like, "Yeah, please, yeah, sure, I'll do that." And yeah, so I got the day job going, got these commissions going, and yeah, life is still a work grind, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that was the Guan book was a Kickstarter that did pretty good, I believe. I forget the numbers on that, but a lot of talented people on that project.
Yeah, there was we recently did a podcast. I was invited on by Jerome, who ran the book, onto a podcast called Adrian's Got Issues, and it was that was a real fun bit of a show to be on. Got to really talk about it because the launch was in New York. I was insanely jealous that it was so far away and I couldn't attend or anything like that. I would have loved to if I was just like a state over or something. But yeah, to get to New York is, 14 hours to LA, then layover and 5 hours over to New York, I reckon. So yeah, a big trip.
Yeah. For sure.
That's where you get to a place where you're risking blood clots in your legs and stuff. You know? Like, holy crap.
Well, I'm getting up there, but I hope that I'm not that old yet.
You don't have to be old, dude. But yeah, no.
Don't have to be old.
No, you don't. Like, you hear these freak stories, like people in their even having it happen. So
I'm sure I've got a couple growing in my legs.
yes. Yeah, that's not an apple under the skin of your calf muscle. That's actually an impending rupture.
Yeah, so let's see. I'll just give a brief of what I'm up to. Today I was actually part of a hangout. I'm not even sure about his full name, but did Jason Brubaker, who has somebody working in the studio with him. He goes by Dom. It's Dominic Isaac. I forget what his last name is. Douglas. And we did a hangout that was. Hold on, Greg.
I was just about to say.
For some reason, like, your mic is picking up every little noise in your studio.
Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. Hold on a second.
If you can mute yourself if you're not speaking, maybe that might help.
I'll do that.
That's what I do as well. Whenever I know there's a lot of background noise, I'm like, mute, click.
Wait, so
but yeah, so
hearing from my mic. Oh God.
Nothing, actually.
Oh, thank you.
Quiet, maybe. Everything.
Every now and then we would hear like a cough, but that's about it.
I've got this Microsoft Gamers mic headset, and I could totally understand it's probably completely obnoxious. So yeah, I'll mute myself while I destroy my studio.
Oh, okay.
I was literally about like 2 seconds away from saying the same thing, and you beat me to it.
Nobody wants to be that guy, though.
I know.
Yeah, no,
I was like,
yeah.
I don't want to be that guy, but oh, that's getting on my nerves.
It is kind of like. So Jason Brubaker, not too long ago, like actually got a studio space. He's the creator of Remind and Sithra, and he's actually has a small comic studio space wherever he's living, and Dom is sort of like his social network guy. And Jason Brubaker has a Patreon, but also Dom has his own as well, and I pledged to both. And Dom has these calls with his patrons over a certain amount, whatever, to do a hangout with. And we've already talked a couple of times, but today it was me, him, and this guy Austin, and just talking about like really doing much better in your career, like what that takes and so on. And he has charts and videos and everything. And I think it would be really helpful. It's like I've been doing this social networking thing for years now. Not as long as my career. I always feel like I can really take it much, much farther. And I've been more concerned with productivity and work ethic and, interacting with my audience, as well as, being more effective within my communities that I'm a part of and community. Did we lose? I guess we lost Paul.
I said he'd be bouncing in and out, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's true. His daughter's sick, I guess.
That's me.
So, hey. Yeah, cool. So today it would be like an hour long. I think we went really long. I think we went like 3 hours. It wound up that, we were talking about doing a little project together, which, I don't really need more work, but it's too good to pass up an opportunity. But yeah, I mean, so like that's all that kind of stuff has been on my mind lately. It's like I got this comic project that lasts at least 5 or 6 months, and that's like it's an inking gig, and I really want to. I don't. No matter how much like I try to speed up and whatever, I'm still meticulous and precision about getting. We hear you, Greg.
Is it loud?
It was like,
Yeah, I'm erasing. I'm sorry.
no, bro.
man, your mic picks up a lot.
That
Yeah.
mic is awesome.
You
Like I
should
thought
put it
my
on
mic
the
picked up everything.
It's the
put it
Microsoft
on the
Life.
other side of the room.
It's the Microsoft Life Chat LX3000.
I am so buying one of those.
I'll stick to my condenser microphone. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe I should just switch over to that.
I got my my little Samson directional. Actually, no, it's a cardioid plugged into a mixer. So yeah, trying to sound as
I
sweet
haven't
as
actually
possible.
tried using mixer because like I'm using a USB condenser microphone, so the one that would go into the mixer has a slightly less volume to it because it's for like singing or miking up an amp or something. So not as good for talking because it'd be a lot quieter.
I think this was designed for Skype headset.
You know what we really need? We need Google Hangouts to actually have push to talk, for fucking sake. This stuff's been around for years now, and yet Skype refuses to have it. Hangouts refuses to have it.
Yeah, that would be helpful. So let's see. Yeah, so it's like this one Ankin gig that I can't really talk about because I'm not even sure it was announced that I'm working on the project, but it's just I really want to dive into a whole bunch of my own personal projects, and I was hoping like this month would be the month that I do that, and it's like it's already mid-month and I'm like schedule of it, but I started Inktober and I plan to finish it regardless of how long it takes me. I'm just doing it at my own pace. I'm not following along with everybody else. I'm bringing back Bobby B-Boy to sort of publicly finish that, and that would be main. That's my 2014 sort of failure Inktober, because I did start it and intend to finish it. It was 2 years ago, but I was coming fresh off of 100 Days of Making Comics and just didn't have.
That was why I didn't do Inktober, because I was like, I just got done 100 Days of Making Comics of like drawing. I'm like, fuck Inktober.
So yeah, it's like I had computer issues, and like if you watch any of my Bobby B-Boy videos, there was me working on each piece, and unfortunately my old computer bit the dust and I don't have any of that footage left. So I'll just do like, I'll makeshift kind of, well, this is this piece and this is what I, originally intended, and this is what developed. And because I kind of remember some details about what I went through on the whole project, but I gotta script that, do a final script on that, and I'm hoping next month, but we'll see. So I got that going on, and do 100 Days of Making Comics for my Bright Eyes comic. That was my first 100 Days of Making Comics, was Bright Eyes, with a lot of other things thrown in. It was sort of a mixture of a lot of different things, depending on what I felt like at the time during each day. But my second days of making comics is going to be focused totally on Bright Eyes. And I'm going to do it a little different. I'll talk about it more when I get to it. But I'm really excited to really focus on that project and get that first this year done. But yeah, just overall do more comics work and do more artwork, do more commission work. I know, like, I watch a lot of people who work on commissions or do fan art, and like there's their struggle with, should I do fan art? Should I just do art that's not, under fan art, but it's just and what is art. And I have no problem doing fan art per se, especially if it's commissions. It's like, I'll draw whatever you want. And most of the time it's, people know me from working on comics, so they want comic book characters 90% of the time. But it's funny, like my Facebook photos have been just random photos that I was tagged in, or I tagged myself in, and I was like, I really got to change that. So yesterday I put all new, like recent art that I didn't like tag myself to, or just didn't have in my photos section for whatever reason. I think a lot of times when I post them up on Instagram or somewhere else and then sort of link it, so you're not seeing a photo, you're seeing a link. So I made sure like my fan page on Facebook and my profile page on Facebook had all those sketches I did for the commissions I took at Free Comic Book Day. And it's like somebody out of the blue said, oh, I'll take a commission. I wasn't really like asking people if they want to take commissions, but sure, I'll do a commission for you. I already have a big list to get to, so.
You sold out for less.
Yeah, I've sold out. But yeah, it's it's like there's a ton I wish to achieve, and I've been working on my studio, trying to get more organized, I am far from all of that, and I feel a new dedication to being better, which is the theme of this episode, being like 2% better. It's like I feel like if I focus on certain things, in a sense of, if this week I focus on being 2% better at working, or 2% better on making sure I'm like covering my commissions, or like really give focus to each part of my business, that it will do me well in the long run, rather than sort of just waking up and putting out fires, or just like ideas popping in my head and saying, okay, today I'll work on this. And feel free to step in.
It's good that you're talking about the commission work. That's sort of where I've been at lately. I'm sort of lucky in that, we always have that discussion, do you do fan art, do you not? I get a lot of commissions asking for very specific things, and I guess I'm just lucky that they're not superhero things. They're their own original characters or their own original ideas. I opened it up on my website, and I hadn't got something working, and so I actually had piled up a few commissions that I hadn't even realized were there, and I got back to these people months later thinking, were they waiting around? Did they go elsewhere? And they were all things like, could you draw my daughters, one dressed as a narwhal, the other one as a polar bear, and they're in Antarctica and they're fighting a horde of evil penguins, that sort of thing. And I was like, yeah, I'm all over that. And I've done like mainly mashups. I said earlier that I'd sort of taken a break from cons, but I stepped out to do one particular one that a friend of mine invites me to. It's like I don't have to pay my way. He pays my entry. He gets me up on stage, and he says, look, you keep all the money you make from the commissions. I'm just going to set you up, and it's something to open up this area of the Games Expo. And there are people who play all sorts of MMORPGs, and they design their own characters for these things. and they'll like show me photos on their phone, and they go, "Can you draw that? Can you draw this? I spent 2 months designing this character. Can you put her in a poster?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, man." And so we exchange emails, and so there's always this to and fro process. And I'll just bring up the most recent one that just got out the other day. Okay, here she comes. And and what gets me is like, where do they design all this intricate jewelry and cloths and stuff like that? I'm pretty sure there's like a sort of a set, things that you can do. And I have no idea what games they're from. There she is.
Okay.
Yeah. They're probably...
But yeah, like, so I get to do this sort of thing in my style. And, when they're happy with it and it's something like that they've envisaged in their head, then, I feel happy about what I've produced for them. And yeah, it's sort of less and less, can you draw me Spider-Man? Can you draw me Batman? That sort of thing. And more along the lines of, I've designed something, can you realize it? Which is a little bit more rewarding for myself personally. It's a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, that sort of stuff can be really super fun. That's a whole area that I'm about to try to make some inroads in, because I have a friend who is she's
Move your mic a little closer to your mouth.
Oh, thank God. Okay, good. Well, I figured out what might be the problem. Automatic gain control was on, so basically every time I watched it, like every time I talked, it would go from 45 to 78. It would just go whoop.
Yeah, definitely turn that option off.
Yeah, I was like, what's going on here? Because like, that's what it was. I think that was the culprit. We'll see. If you guys complain about me again, then I'll know that's not the culprit. But, even though I know you guys, I feel the love, so it's cool. But
we're only complaining so that you can learn.
Exactly. Yeah, like she not demos. What do they call it? Like when you get in on the beta test. She's a beta tester for ESO. So, I know because of what she's told me is, just like people are either they get like they're really into throwaway characters, so like they just have fun and they kill them, and it's actually part of the fun. But the other side is that almost all those like free to play games or not free, but a lot of this online gaming, some people, they'll have like this is their character and it's very, very, very important to them and stuff. And
it's part of role playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just the digital electronic extension of that. So there's a lot of folks who, and for money, I guess they make people's avatars for the little square area, like that's on the toolbar of the game.
Right.
There's a lot of that goes on, and a lot of them are on DeviantArt, I've noticed. But there is a room for the kind of thing you were talking about, where people would actually like a full-on piece of art that's drawn by an artist or painted or combination. And so it seems to me that that's starting to come out in the electronic gaming, which I think is fabulous, because if I was into a game like that and I had no, professional artistic talent, it would be super cool to be able to have on my wall like my true idealized version of the character. I think that would be pretty neat. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I get that whole specific thing. Like I have had email back and forth where they go, no, you have to get this piece of jewelry absolutely right. I spent hours on it.
That's awesome. I mean, it's not awesome to have to redo it, but I love that intensity, though. Don't you kind of love that intensity? It's like, wow, you are really into this. This is not casual in any way. Like,
yeah.
No, it's like their thing. It's what they spent time to make and they got into, and it's just they have a specific way they want it to look.
Yeah. So it's neat to have a client like that in a way, like.
Yeah, that's the neat stuff to have. I unfortunately had to deal with the not so fun things a few days ago. Okay, people, anyone out there listening to this stream or who watches it later after it's recorded, if you're going to a comic artist to have them draw a comic for you, please, for the love of all that is holy, have a finished script. Do not come to them with your ideas and your story plot outline and then ask them to help you a little bit with the scripting. It's like, no, that's not my job. My job is to draw your script.
Well, unless they want to pay you to script.
No, he was just like, what do you pay for your comic stuff? Like doing the pages, like just drawing the pages, and this is my price. And then I'm like, just send me a script and I'll, send me character descriptions and I'll work on it. Dude had like nothing ready. I'm like,
right, sure. Well, I had a situation like that, but it was with storyboards, and not a recent client that I had, which was actually an awesome client, but this is years ago, and like it was just the same situation, they had told me all about this project and stuff. To no problem paying what I would get for the storyboards, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, so I need your script, and it came to that part of the conversation. They were like, oh well, really what I have is some ideas, so I'd like to sit down and talk about it. And I was like, okay. So I'm thinking like I'm I know where this is going to go. So I was like, all right, well, so that's okay, because so what I do in that case is, I get paid $100 an hour to do script consultation and on the fly boards. I don't charge it by the board. I charge it by the hour. It's $100 consultation fee, and we can sit down as long as you like, and I just itemize it, and then that bill gets paid along with the rest of the charges. And it was just like crickets. Right.
Yeah. All of a sudden, they're like, "Oh, never mind then."
Yeah. No, but here is the great part. He was like, well, what if we sit down for a half an hour? Like, yeah. So I was like, well, we could try to get whatever we could get done in a half an hour, and then you owe me $50. Sure.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what I had to do is I had to take really what it was is like, he didn't even have an outline, but essentially hammer him into getting an outline. And then I was building out a sort of stuff that would then become a script. But I charged him for it, and I said, "Look, you can't, this is not a professional situation. You're going to have to pay me to be a script consultant, essentially, and this is what it's going to cost." And he did end up paying me some money for that. But then he quickly got the drive and started to actually do the work that he needed to do. So things corrected themselves over time. But the thing about those horror stories is that my thing was just like, all right, you're a total screwball, so I guess what's going to happen here is I'm going to charge you for being a screwball, and I'm going to get an hourly rate for you being wacky, and either you're going to want to pay it or not, right?
Yeah, this guy was just weird because he clearly did not understand what it takes to make a comic book. And it kind of started annoying me because for starters, when I gave him my initial price for pencil and inks, finished pages, he immediately was just he didn't realize just how expensive those things can get.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, do I need inks? Can I just go pencils? Well, if you're talking about pencils and you're talking about not having it inked, I'm going to have to do finished pencils. I'm going to have to make it look very clean looking. So that's still going to cost you a decent amount.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, even if it was just a 20-minute sketch, I'm just like,
a 20-minute
20 minutes? What in the hell makes you think that I can even contemplate doing a page in 20 minutes and have it look anywhere near presentable? I'm fast. I can sketch and draw very quickly. I can ink pretty quickly too, but not in 20 minutes. I ain't that fast.
Yeah, it's so wild how many people. Here's the thing. If we went to although I'm sure contractors and other professionals have the exact same stories. I mean, I know they do because I know those. I know some of those kinds of people, and we all do, right?
Yeah.
We all know people who are plumbers or whatever, and they have the same kind of wacky stories. But it is interesting that more people are less likely to go to, let's say, to a contractor, and when the contractor says, no, well, this job's going to cost $100,000 or $50,000 to do, And this is why, because we're going to build all this stuff. People go, oh yeah, because like there's going to be 7 guys and they're going to be building stuff and there's lumber and like it's like even if they have sticker shock, they kind of get it, right? But like, or
with art, they just don't get it.
Right, but with art, it's like, yeah, it's crazy. It's just
they don't realize that it can take you for even a simple piece. It could still take you like 3-4 hours to do a simple drawing.
And not only that, but even just on a basic value system, it's almost like they're just like, well, you're just gonna, like you said, like the quick 20-minute sketch, right? And it's sort of like that's the sort of it's like I remember one time the comment sort of like that. I know, like I want you to do this thing. It was a birthday. It was a family oriented sort of an affair. And somebody was like, I want this thing, right? So the whole family's in there. Whole family drawn, blah, blah, blah. All right. Okay, so it's going to be like $300, and I need photo reference for everybody. And if I have to shoot the photo reference, then it's going to be X, amount of money per hour. And otherwise, you could just throw me whatever family photos that you feel are best or most flattering, most recent, whatever. Okay. Oh, well, what about just like a quick sketch? And I'm like, well, I could get a napkin and I could do that. But I was like, okay, so the thing is like, so then you wanted me because of what you saw online, and you wanted me because of the material you saw, and that is fully rendered material, and it's done with craft and skill and with care.
Yeah.
As if you were talking to me as a plumber or a doctor or a surgeon or whatever, right? Okay, so why would I be interested in selling you a quick
subpar quality,
right?
Yeah,
because you have
like that's my name on it.
Right.
I'm not letting subpar quality go out.
Right. So then I said, because at that point, what you're telling me is that my artwork is the same thing as sausages by the pound, right? Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
So we have a few comments.
I was actually going to answer that question.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Okay.
The example of a good client. I like my immediate response to that one. I guess because I'm a comic artist. So on my end, I would say a good client for comic artists is definitely make sure that you have a script. If they have a script, it's finished. It's what they want. It's detailed. You read it, you know what you need to draw. You don't have to guess. You don't have to go back to them 20 times saying, well, what did you want here? Well, what did you want here? No, it's finished. It's easy to read. I love that. And they have good character descriptions, so I know what the characters look like. A client who knows how much time it's going to take to do the art, who's not going to sit there and argue with you over the amount of time it takes or the amount of money it's going to cost. Like they know, they've done the research. That's a good client, a client who does the research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would add that like a story Bible is very, very important. I think that anybody who is purely a writer has created this script, and presumably, as it's just been said, a full script, right? To not do a story Bible that it has that's the characters of the world, the influences on it, frankly, is doing a complete disservice to the process, because that's how things have to be redone. More and more things have to be redone. If I don't, or if anybody talking tonight doesn't, you can have the best script in the world, but if I don't know what things are like in comparison to other things, if I don't know what the characters are in terms of their backstories and other stuff, material like that, then we're all like shooting in the dark. That's because that's additional necessary material that pivotal to designing a character, to designing the look of the world, the environments, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So you're doing a disservice to a great script if you don't have the material.
I sort of had the reverse of this conversation a little while ago, in which I was the client, and that's always a very eye-opening experience, sort of putting yourself in the client's shoes. Yes. Or the situation where you are the one who needs to provide things like the script. And it was the first time I'd worked with another artist outside of, well, myself, because I was basically the writer, the penciler, inker, colorer, and letterer, and I decided to get a professional letterer in on a book. And we had some really good initial conversations. I said, okay, so we've nailed down the cost of what you're going to do, what you need me to supply, and all that sort of stuff. And he kind of he groomed me in sort of what I should produce for him. And there were places along the way where I would send him stuff and he goes, look, are you sure this is what you're sending me? Because I'm not sure who this character is, or I need more information on blah, blah, blah. And so I would go back through the entire script and kind of, like you said, do my homework before I resent it to him, because we all know that, time is money, and his time was definitely worthwhile. He did a bang up job, but I also got that experience almost like being mentored. And sometimes I feel that part of our job is, like you said, there's scripts, consultation, all that sort of stuff, but sort of giving that expectation of what's expected of the client, especially if they're a first-time client or something like that. Now, there are professionals out there, script writers and artists and all that we deal with a lot of. On the commission front, it's usually someone who has no idea what goes into it. And
very much
on those fronts, I'm a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
When you have actual, ignorance to something, that's fine, because you literally just don't know. And I'm willing to help and tell you what you need. And that's what I told him in the emails. I emailed him back multiple times. We went back and forth, and I kept telling him what I needed. He said, okay, cool. Anything else? And I told him everything that I would need in order to start this project. And he just said, all right, I'll get back to you when I have all this stuff. And he left to do all that. So, it's one thing when they legitimately just don't know.
Yeah.
I'm also a lot. I don't get rough with commission people, because again, just like it's been said, I mean, like, these are fans, and it's not, fans are not professionals. Therefore, you're always starting over. You're always educating, and the thing is, like, what would possibly be of any value or future sales, frankly. That's just good salesmanship. If you stomp on someone or act like a dick to somebody who's literally the person who might potentially buy your book, or maybe the next time around want to buy a bunch more sketch cards or something, like, you're just the most monumentally stupid salesperson in the universe, right? So we have to be nice. We have to be humble. We have to be gracious in that scenario. I think, where a lot of us are going with the more strident kind of exchanges is when somebody's talking about publishing, somebody's talking about, a so-called a book or whatever. And in those circumstances, I think that, that's where we have to kind of be more tough love, because if you're too kind, then you're just going to get walked all over, and you're going to end up with some very frustrating
I totally agree.
Yeah. So it's
always
it's two different approaches, right? I mean, one has to be always gracious, kind, and sort of like as if you had a corner store and you were selling, newspapers. You have to be nice, right?
Yeah.
But I think the other one, it's like, unfortunately, there's a lot of folks that either they're ignorant or they're, maybe a few want to take advantage, and then you have to really hold your ground. And it's knowing which to do in which situation, I think, is very critically important. So
of course, the longer you're sort of in this biz, it's the more you can discern which is which.
Absolutely.
It's often an ex-student or someone who's found me at a con and has an idea for a book and is looking for an artist, and the first thing they say is, I've got this great idea for a comic. You want to go halvesies on the profits? And I'm like, I know that just like rings alarm bells in my head. It's like, okay, you have no budget, you have no script.
No, that's a real thing.
I hate it the worst when friends come up to me and they're like, I have this idea. It's like, okay, I mentioned this 100 times. I have ideas too. Probably too many. I don't need your idea. They have no intention of following through, but they have this great idea spark, and they want
a spark of genius, the greatest idea in the world.
I'm going to do something with it, and they're going to make lots of money, or just see their name in lights.
Well, that's always the bane of every comic and all kinds of entertaining, types of work. They all seem to get that, like, the hairdresser is like clipping their hair and, oh, darling, I've got this wonderful joke for you to, it's like, oh, really? Yeah, I've never heard that before. Yeah, it's really, and actually, this is not anything to do with being 2% better, unless it's actually about being 2% kinder. But like, what do you guys do in that situation? Like, I know what I do when I'm in a conversation with somebody or friends, sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's strangers, and you're at a party, but like they, oh, you're doing a graphic novel, I've got this really great idea, right? And like, I always find myself like a chill goes through my blood because I know, not because I know that it's going to be bad, because it probably isn't going to be very interesting, but what it's more like is like, oh fuck, I've got to let this person down, man. I'm gonna have to let this person down, because
the moment they say, man, I have this great idea, I'm like, please don't.
Right. I mean, like,
my initial response,
an option.
I say it out loud. Right. I'm like, don't.
You're like a Manhattan, what is it? The Woody Allen movie, Don't Speak.
It's like, shh, do not speak.
Yeah, right.
Your words will cause me pain.
Right. But like, it's really hard because that like in that moment, I mean, let's be real. Like in that moment, their whole dreamy dream is on the line with you, right? And the moment when you say no, however kindly you do it, no matter what it is, the approach you have, you just see them like just go, like it's like defeat.
Well, what you need to do is you need to redirect it, basically, like saying like, I can't work on your idea. I just can't. I have other work that I need to do. Well, but this is your idea.
That's what I do.
And you need to take it somewhere. You need to do something with it. Focus on your idea.
Yeah, no, that's what I do. I mean, I actually just like, and I say, hey, go on DeviantArt. I give them all the tips and tricks. Sometimes I've even had email exchanges with them just to like let them down easy. But it is interesting that like, oh, Paul has to bail.
Okay, so I didn't want to interrupt you talking. I got to go, guys. I'm sorry.
All right, Paul. No problem.
Later, Paul. Take care of you, kid.
See you later.
Very good to talk to you.
See, what you do in that case is like, I have a contract for just this occasion.
Oh, cool.
Like somebody approaches you with an idea. If it's a friend, it's like I take people at, I don't know, face value. Like if anybody approaches me saying that they have an idea out, whether anything comes of it is really if they're serious. And most people just want to tell you their idea. They don't, follow through or anything.
That's actually a good point. That's a super good point. It's almost like it's more important for them to share their thing and to get maybe a little bit of
feedback.
Yeah, I was actually going to even say like almost like a little pat on the back, like, oh, that's a great idea. Like,
yeah, it's like you came up with a great idea. That's fabulous.
Yeah. Because for them, like, like I'm not a professional comics creator. Hardly, like not even close. Like all I'm doing is indie, mainstream, my own thing, and then whatever commissions I get. I got no street cred as a professional whatsoever. But to that other person who really loves my work, and in my community, I've been an artist for more than 30 years, but like to them, like I am basically a professional creator. Like I'm not, but to them,
well, to someone who looks up to you, your opinion actually holds weight.
Right. And I teach comic stuff like sometimes, or I mentor people with their art, so like I get it, but
I get that stuff all the time on my YouTube comment section when I post
of course, right,
a lot of lessons and shit.
Yeah. But it's interesting that like, so like for that moment, it's almost like their dream would be where you would go like, why, yes, your idea is splendid. I must work on it. And we will make $1 million together. And, like hearts start floating around both of us. And we just actually float on the ether to Paramount Pictures and, the end, like,
yeah,
like the Muppet Show, like what, like where Orson Welles presents you with the very, very big, like movie star contract, it's like, this is the standard successful, Hollywood celebrity contract, like. You know, like that's going to happen. So in that moment, it's like that's where they are. And I love that in a way because like that's what's really cool about any of these creative endeavors is that people's dreams and like, you know, people get very, very excited and that's awesome. It's just but at the same time, you know, it's like you got to be like.
But eventually, reality needs to set in.
Absolutely, and that's the thing where and I'm like, you know, oh shit, now I'm like a total bummer. You know, like I'm like.
I have to be life, and I have to smash their dreams into
exactly.
pieces.
Please let me take your parade, and I will now take the watering can of rain.
Let me do it before life does it for you.
Yeah, it's just too bad. But anyway, that's you know, whatever. But what does it have to be the best? What does that have to do with being 2% better, though? I don't know.
I mean, in all of life, I mean, even whether you're talking about trying to help somebody, talking about trying to get better, it's one of those scenarios, especially with helping people on that end, at least. If you're trying to help someone, there are ways that you can easily let them down, but also pick them up at the same time. Yeah, and that's what I always try to do is, yes, I'm going to kick your feet out from under you, but I'm also going to pick you right back up, smack you on the back of the head and say, get over it, now go do your dream, you know? But, and that's kind of what they need, you know? It's what we all need every now and then is for someone to smack us on the back of the head and say, get the fuck on with it. But we all need it. Sometimes tough love does work. But with the one thing I actually like just saying, 2% better thing, it is one of those scenarios of trying to just, even if you're getting 2% better, you're getting better. You're trying to improve. You're trying to keep learning and keep yourself from just falling further and further into this spiral of not doing anything, which a lot of us tend to fall into sometimes.
For sure.
It's also like a sort of philosophy, like, if you want a career that's long term, still you have to get better.
Oh yeah, and it's not like we have to achieve perfection because perfection doesn't exist. And I love that one. I keep forgetting who shares this fun video. It says "finish, not perfect," and I love that saying. I absolutely love that. Yeah, I absolutely love that. That is a great saying. Like, even though there are some of us who are perfectionists and it's going to drive us crazy until we get it the way we want, it is refreshing to try and remind yourself, it's like, just finish it. It will never be perfect. Finish it. That's something I always fight with, unfortunately, and because I'm never satisfied with it, because I'm still in that area. They also show that your artistic skill versus your artistic eye chart, like where they show how they connect and lap each other differently at different stages of your life. And I'm still in that scenario where my ability to see art, skill levels of art, is currently higher than my actual ability to draw. And that's always a frustrating one.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, anyone who else out there who battles with depression knows what that can do to you.
As a person with bipolar, I have. Yeah, I totally know where you're coming from. So,
I unfortunately battle that shit every day, and I don't even have the luxury of being able to afford to take medicine to try and battle it. I'm just sitting here on my own. So, I wish I could afford a medication. That'd be lovely.
I don't know that I would, because I was on medication for a little while ages ago, and it evened out my mood for a long, long, long time. I mean, I'm still better now than I was back then. But like at the same time, part of the reason, besides the cost of why I got off it, was because it utterly killed my artistic drive.
Yeah. It's always different for each person, unfortunately, which sucks. You never know how you're going to react to the medicine as someone else would. Because I have friends who have taken medicine and it's worked very well for them. It's at least it's gotten them to a point where they at least feel good enough that they can get work done. They don't feel great; it's not cured, but they feel good enough that they can at least still work.
Sure.
And I'm trying to get myself to that point where it's like, okay, I know I'm not feeling great, but I feel good enough that I can work on something.
Yeah, for me, without meds, life would be completely untenable. And doing group therapy with other bipolar people, one thing I noticed was that the phase of feeling removed from emotions or feeling flat or all that sort of stuff. I can't speak for unipolar depression or psychotic stuff or whatever, but sometimes it can even be more than a year, but it takes time for the meds to completely level you out and then what happens is, we all went through it. Especially you get a rookie in there and they would say like, oh yeah, I just feel everything's boring and my emotions are flat and blah, blah, blah. And then usually somebody else would say like, oh yeah, well, that's actually normal. Like, like in other words, like when you're so either uni or bipolar vaulted all over the place, you lifetime of that, even if it's just purely depression, you get so used to what you think is normal is actually quite depressed. And so then a completely flatlined emotional state, which is like a normal emotional state, right, seems comatose emotionally compared to the other vaulted extremes. And so a lot of times, there's like many times like a year of medication, and then there's sometimes up to another year of adjusting to what is essentially like what seems flat dead or abnormally, like placid is actually like normal. And then you have room to be happy or to be sad. But it can be hard. And that's why sometimes compliance on medication can be difficult.
And people seem to not, a lot of people don't understand what medication is really supposed to do because they don't understand what depression is. Depression is not just, oh, I'm feeling sad. Depression is a literal chemical imbalance in your system. So what those medications are trying to do is balance them out. So when you've been imbalanced for so long and then all of a sudden you feel what it feels like to be balanced, all of a sudden you realize, well, wow, this is
pretty dead. I know for me, I was actually, I had the exact reaction. I was like, Jesus, like I'm a zombie. And it's like, oh shit, I'm not a zombie. It's just I was so screwed up in so many different directions that once I was normal,
this is what calmness feels like.
This is what this is when when people drive down the road and and it's kind of like normal, or they just
nothing eventful is happening. You're just chilling. You maybe have some tunes on. Like nothing's fucked here.
And actually, it's actually really fascinating because there's an entire psychiatric study vector which is all about trauma, and that every single episode of psychological sort of like meltdown is as traumatic as death in the family, divorce, homelessness, whatever. And so therefore there are multiple instances of trauma that then traumatize the individual, and you start to become accustomed to trauma as a baseline. And so it's just so complicated. It really is. And the fact is though, like some medications do pulverize your brain. And what that means though is that it ain't the right med, and then it's like you got to start over again. But so artists are crazy, and that's the answer to that. That's the simple. Right?
Yeah,
we're just nuts,
And you'd be hard pressed to find artists who don't have some even small amounts of issues like that, because that's that side of the brain. It's the artistic side that brings out creativity, but it also opens your mind to a lot of weird emotions, a lot of dark places that your mind can go. It's just, and it doesn't help when you do have actual like chronic depression. Like you were literally just born with the imbalance already. Like, which I still need to go and get, I can't even afford to go and get tested to see whether I have the full on born with depression or whether, if something else has caused it. Like I can't even afford to go do that. I've been battling it so long. I don't know which it is anymore. And but anyone who has it, it's just one of those shit shows. Unfortunately, when you are a creative person, you're opening yourself up to that crap.
Yeah. My mom was bipolar, and I know like something from like her and her side of the family seeped in my psychosis. Because I'm comfortable being an artist, but yeah, I go through my highs and lows, and it's harder when you're an artist. Like if I'm a bricklayer and I'm feeling down one day, I can go to work and lay brick and it'd be no problem. But like to go to the drawing board and like be productive as an artist, it's like you can't always pull it out of you. You know,
because usually when your mood shifts and you start becoming sadder or very low, that's usually what drains your creativity. And as an artist, we need that. As a bricklayer, in your example, it's all technique. It's all just not muscle memory. You're just doing what you have done for years. As an artist, yes, there's a little bit of muscle memory for some of it, but you still need to be able to create in your mind what it is you want to draw.
Yeah. So Creed is here, and he says, glad SS is back. He said he took depression meds. Depression meds took my art for years. I'll never touch them again. If I can only be happy or artistic, I'll take artistic every time.
And I'm glad that he has that option. Like that's good to have that option. Unfortunately, not all of us have that option. Because in my case, depression takes away everything. Like I have no care for anything. I get easily frustrated with things very quickly. And I do have, unfortunately, a bit of a temper issue sometimes. So it will cause me to have freak out moments. I have paranoia. And when I'm really low, paranoia gets really bad. It's gotten so bad that I'll have windows open. And if I hear even one small noise out there, even though I know for a fact it's probably a cat, because there's cats in this whole area, I know for a fact it's probably a cat, it'll freak me the hell out, and I will go and shut every window. And I will shut the door, I will lock it, it's bad. I have little mini freak out moments, and I'm just like, must secure everything.
We have Tiffany in the chat, and she had postpartum depression after she had a baby, and didn't even know it was happening, which is, I think, a lot of the times postpartum depression is exactly that. You don't know it's happening.
Yeah, it's a very, very hard suffering kind of situation.
I mean, any sort of mental illness is a suffering of the exact tool you would be using to figure out that you're ill. So,
but
mental illness tends to be very, very insidious because, your sensory apparatus is damaged, so you can get all sorts of, it's very easy to justify behavior or changes in habit or whatever. So I'm glad she came out the other side.
Well, she said it wasn't until I started seeing small animals in the corner of my eyes and having random freak out moments did my family figure out something was wrong.
Right.
Yeah, and unfortunately that's always the unfortunate part is sometimes it takes the extreme parts of it, like when it hits its extreme mark, then people are like, oh shit, something's wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, it'd be nice if you could catch it before then, but unfortunately sometimes it's easy to hide because you don't know you have it. It's just, oh, I feel really sad today for some reason, or man, I just don't feel good. I'm just, I'm off, my head's off. All of a sudden you start seeing shit out of the corner of your eye, you're like, okay, something's fucked up.
Yeah, something's not right.
I've had those moments before. Those are scary.
I see small animals out of the corner of my eye, but they live here. So,
well, for me, I've never seen small animals. I'll see like kind of these black shadowy blob things, kind of in the right at my peripheral view. And obviously, when you go to look, there's nothing there. But it's just like I'll catch some kind of movement, and that's actually one thing I complain about a lot of people who, if they're ever around me, and it's one thing I warn all my friends who do visit, like the ones who have visited, it's like, please, for the love of God, do not move around a lot on the corner of my eye, like over my shoulder or anything. That will set me off so bad. Like that will freak me out. Like if my dad gets up and walks around the kitchen, whatever I'm doing, I will stop what I'm doing and I will kind of turn just a little bit so I can see him better. And I will wait until he's done whatever he's doing in there and he goes to sit back down. Otherwise, I will not be able to sit and do anything. It'll irritate and I swear it's like something staring at me. That's how bad it gets. Like if anyone out there has that, please, if you can afford to get help, if you have, some type of medical aid or you have someone who can help take you to a doctor, please go see a doctor about it because that's not fun.
Yeah. She says she's way better now.
Good to hear.
And depression is no joke. For sure. I think, I've been depressed at times, especially in my career. But I don't think it's been a major issue. If anything, it's anxiety. And I've had that recently checked into and was taking something. I don't know if it's highly effective or not. I felt better for a while, but maybe that was psychological. I know I try to put too much on myself. I expect a lot out of myself. But that's artists too.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go too much longer. It's kind of like because of the delay and tech issues. So I would like to, I guess, pretty much wrap it up. It's really like if you think you have depression, you should get a check into it.
Don't take chances.
Maybe one day we'll have an expert on. But it's just, we have experienced depression. We knew we need help, and that's what most people should do too. Absolutely. There was a comment earlier. Holly Brown is in the chat. She said people don't usually value the creative process much since an actual artist hiring it.
I don't see that comment.
That's a little higher up towards the top. Okay. That's when we were talking about, like people dropping comic ideas on us or doing commissions for people.
Also, apparently we had Adolf Hitler in the chat at one point.
We did.
Yeah, well, I ignored it.
That's just somebody noticed by a celebrity.
Don't worry, folks. Calm down. That's somebody looking for attention.
I wish I still knew German. I would have totally been starting to talk to him. I've forgotten like everything I learned before.
Scheiße. That's all I know.
People don't value the creative process. Yeah, I would agree. Like, for some, it's not that they don't value it. It's just that they really just are. It totally escapes them in terms of understanding, what goes into it, right? That it's just as much work as other forms of incredibly intensive work. So sometimes it's not, like an intentional thing, but it's certainly the case that either way, it can then express itself as this kind of like undervaluing of what we do. And so it's always this like painful situation to tell people, like what it costs and all that jazz. So, unless the thing about like, unless an artist hires you, it's kind of the same thing as like, the biggest tippers are the waitresses that go out to dinner, right? All that kind of stuff, because if you know what goes into it, then you're more likely to understand and value it and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, I want to just add a little thing. It's almost easier to like get a commission from somebody in the business. It's like somebody who does commissions. You don't have to explain a lot, because I've had some people commission me, and it's just like, no, I was asking for Z, but you told me ABC, and it's really like the shortcuts aren't there. You have to explain fully, like somebody in the business would know the shorthand of what you're talking about, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, and you really have to be patient with somebody who gotten a commission from somebody else. But I had a story about somebody commissioned me to do a comic book cover, and I went back and forth with this person, did thumbnails, and had a finished thumbnail that was almost exactly the finished piece that I wound up doing. And they said, no, that's wrong. Where do you see the difference between the extravagant thumbnail that I showed you and the cover I'm doing? It's like, other than the pencils are more finished, and it just like flipped me out more. It's like, I don't understand people sometimes, but all right. So I don't want to get into a new comment. Guess we'll wrap this up. Eric, where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube, on Tumblr, and on Facebook by just looking up my name, Eric Faries. That's F-A-R-I-E-S. I basically just, on YouTube, I'm basically just doing tutorials and art videos and reviews of whatever products I have. On Tumblr, I post my art, and a lot of it gets shared over to my Facebook fan page anyway, so you can check that out. The Facebook fan page is Art of Eric Faries. Do not try to add me on my personal one. I will deny you.
Denied. Cool.
I don't know you.
Yeah, and I'm going to put everybody's YouTube below in the description box. They'll tell you additional links right now. So, Greg, where can people find you?
You can find me at flameape.org. And you can find my comic at holiday with 2 L's comic.com. I'm going to put links in the chat for that. And also my YouTube channel is, you can find it as Gregory C. Giordano or Flameape, either one. I think it's listed as both. And I'm also Gregory C. Giordano on Facebook, and Flameape, the Art of Gregory Giordano on Facebook as well.
Right. Cool. And you started something. You started doing live streams. Are you going to continue with that? I just caught the totally, beginning of the last one you did.
Yeah. We're doing a weekly one for the Holiday Mountain Madness stuff. As you know, like I said, Pippa and the writer and I, catching up on what's going on with the book. But also, I want to do interviews. It's really fun to do it. It goes back to old public access TV days, and where I used to do things like that. And taking a page out of your book, Peter, and reaching out to creators and trying to get some of the feedback and conversation going. Which, so that's something I wanted that I'm doing and organizing more interviews for the future. I have a couple on the. I can't say who they are, but one of them is a professional, and so that would be a really huge thing to be able to do that. But I don't want to say.
That's right. I was on your show.
Right. So now, what I mean is, like, I have another one on the line, and I'm hoping that that's going to happen. So fingers
You
crossed.
heard it here first, folks. Craig is going to have Joe Quesada on his YouTube channel.
Oh no! Breaking
That is
news.
confirmed. He just said that.
Yeah, no, I would only do that if that would be that would be funny. I don't even know what the hell I would talk about. I don't even know what I would say.
So, Mr. Casada, one more day.
Right.
What happened?
I would just want to.
Fuck,
I would be
man.
honest with you. I would spend the whole hour talking about Ash. That's it. I wouldn't even care about anything else.
Oh no, I will never forgive that man for one more day.
That's the book that I loved. That was the only reason. I don't know.
I think it was all. I think it was the name that sold you, didn't it?
The name, at first, yeah, and then when I found out it was a comic book about a fireman, I was like, oh my god, this is like the 3-year-old in me has just suddenly like jumped to attention. Like it was like, holy crap, this is great. Like
I was the creator. For those that don't know, I was the creator of the name Ash.
no shit.
Really?
It's true. It's in Wizard magazine.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
If it was a
totally
wizard,
awesome.
I believe it.
that's right.
Especially the articles where they said they weren't going out of business.
By the way, I tried to put my links
Ever.
in the chat room on the YouTube page of this show.
I'm gonna
Well, let's do it.
I'm gonna just keep it to to YouTube links, because I started doing all links and it just became too much work.
All right. Well,
So
you won't get unruly if I put it in the comment section, will you?
you mean of the comments of the video? That's fine. Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah. So people can check the comments section for further links of
I'm
Greg's.
trying to do the social media, man. I'm trying to live.
I know. I got to do it on a schedule, so I'm trying to
Peter, I'm trying to be 2% better.
save some time. 2%. There. That's your 2%. John, where can people find you?
People can find me at facebook.com/Zomburai. That's ZOMBURAI. And you can also follow my Tumblr at Tumblr/Zomburai.
Cool. And you ever going to do YouTube videos again? Just
Again,
curious.
again, I didn't do them the first time.
You have a channel though, don't you?
I have a channel. There's nothing on it right now. It's also,
okay.
I think it's under Zomburai 45. It's something I'm interested in doing, but my first attempts have been nothing but technical difficulties, and I don't have anything really to talk about, as evidenced by this show that everybody just watched. So I'm not entirely sure what is going to do that, but it's something I'm interested in, something I hopefully will get into.
Okay. Right, it's like I always enjoy hanging out with you in these hangouts, and you've been a little quiet tonight, but normally you're very talkative, and
That's because we've been kind of dominating the conversation.
True that. But the piece looks awesome, man.
Thank you. I'm really happy with how it's turned out, honestly. I'm one of those I can't say that about my stuff very often. So give it a week, I'll hate it again. But right now I'm loving it.
Cool. And so I am Peter Palmiotti. You can find me everywhere. Just Google me.
Oh, we have to give websites, and you're just like, just Google me, and all right.
It's what I did on my friends' shows and whatnot. Me on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Pinterest and Tumblr and a lot of places under
I'm on all the things.
under Peter Palmiotti, because I'm not shy about using my real name. And all my links are on my YouTube page anyway. You're watching via my YouTube page, so just check them out. I even have my podcast link there, and I haven't done a podcast in so long. But I'll be doing these Studio Synergy Hangouts now that I know what the heck I'm doing once again on a weekly basis. What I want to do
Awesome.
is maybe even do it twice a week. So my goal is to first improve the way in which I do them. Doing them more often. So cart before the horse and all that. But thank you all for joining. Thank you everyone who joined us in the chat.
Now that we have
a lot of people watching. I think a lot of my friends are watching tonight. So thank you all for coming. To be totally honest, without even all the tech issues, I was physically from a weekend of just too much work before the show, so I wasn't at my A game. But I promise better episodes in the future. But you know, Greg and Eric had a great conversation going.
we kept things going for you, man.
Yes.
By the way,
I might as well be a talk show host.
I just
You
want to
should.
thank everyone for. I'd like to thank everyone for helping me because actually I needed to get some work done, and I am almost done with this page.
Yeah,
Cool.
I
There's
just
that.
been
That
doodling.
dude's got a dude's head in his stomach.
That's right. That's exactly correct.
Yeah. I just doodle and stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
'Cause I
no.
can't focus enough to do real work while I'm doing these hangout hosting and looking on Facebook and checking messages and
Oh yeah.
Too much
me-
work being the host.
It is.
I need an assistant like doing the live. What does YouTube call it?
Hangouts and stuff. Yeah, the live events.
Well,
Yeah.
like the green room or whatever the heck it's called, where all the information goes, like about the stream and whatnot.
Oh yeah, the control panel.
Control panel, yeah, it's like the control room.
Control
that
room.
thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, they say, Peter, the crown weighs heavy. Right?
Yes, it does.
It's something you're just gonna have to deal with, man.
The monkey king has a slump or something.
That's right.
I
I think though in the
Are we
future
just making
you
stuff
actually
up now?
do.
So quick, what other stupid thing can we come up with?
Well, I myself would say that I would really appreciate it if you actually get a crown and be on for any future video. You should be wearing a crown, like the old imperial margarine. Remember where the crown would appear on the guy's head? I think that's what you need, man. You need like a scepter,
Show him who's boss.
and then you could be like, "I am the king of comic books."
I'll
it's-
redraw my picture so I have a jester hat.
it's a good thing Halloween is on a Monday night. Otherwise, we'd be in trouble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for having me on the show, bud.
Yeah. Thank you all for coming.
Can't wait to do it again.
Paul Kajeji was on this episode. You can find his work at paulkajeji.com. That links to his other stuff as well. And let's see if I can do this right. Caggegi?
That's correct.
Kajeji? Yeah.
That's right.
And he's an awesome artist, doing his comic and other stuff, commissions, and yeah, just making the world a more beautiful place. And that's all we really try to do. All right, folks, take care and
Thank you, gracious hosts.
have a good one.